And now we have another great speaker that I'm excited to present to you. Our next speaker is not in your workbook. He volunteered to come speak with you today after it went to print. So his name is GySgt Wilson. Next slide. Marcus Wilson, and we added him last week because he has a story that I know will touch your heart. And so I would like you also, he has 5 children and 1 on the way, so I think he just wanted some time off. We're glad he's here. Please welcome GySgt Wilson.
Thank you for letting everybody know that. I appreciate that. First of all, I just want to say, you know, it's not often that I'm speechless about things, but it took a lot of courage for you to get up here and do what you did. And I'm sure with all these Marines I see out here, I'm sure it helped someone, or they know someone that need help, and hopefully they can speak up because of that. So kudos to you. Now I want to say, I look at all these faces here, and I've done a lot of speaking to a lot of different people on a lot of different levels, and nothing really affects me. I think about it, and then it comes out of my mouth, and there's not really a filter in between, and that kind of gets me in trouble sometimes. So with that being said, how I ended up here basically was I parked my vehicle in a handicap spot. And as I'm walking back to my vehicle, saw Major Green, which I didn't know who he was. He's like, "Hey, Marine." I was like, here we go. So I walk up, I see Sergeant Major, I'm like, yeah, Sergeant Major. He's like, "This your vehicle?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." He was like, he parked in a handicap spot, and I kind of reached down and pull up my pant leg and show him my prosthetic. Do we have any Marines here with prosthetics? No. I really am a minority in this room. Any Marines with any combat injuries, physical, mental, otherwise? Any Marines here know me from any hospitals? Yeah, a couple Marines. All right. With that being said, in 2006, I was the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines, and we deployed to Haditha, Iraq. Now, I know a lot of you were around during that time, and if you remember, during that time, Haditha was a really volatile area, and we were dealing with a lot of things, both politically and trying to find something in between, because it was such a kinetic environment. Well, we got there, and the place was just completely out of control. It's like the Wild West with AK-47s and RPGs. So on September the 16th, now prior to this, I've been involved in 3 other IEDs. September the 16th, I got hit by an IED. I was in a vehicle, and at that time, had a grade 3 concussion, a couple of small cuts, not even really anything that I wanted to report, because I've seen so many Marines with so many really, really horrible injuries, and I've seen so many Marines get killed. You don't really feel right about even saying anything about, to me in my mind, something that was so small. But I had all the signs of a concussion, with the vomiting, the headaches, end up passing out, so there was no really getting around it. So I go to medical, they put me on SIQ or whatever it is, I don't know, light duty, and said that I couldn't go out for another month patrolling. Now, I'm a platoon commander, and I have many, many Marines under me. I'm a MAP platoon commander. There's no way that a staffing SEAL is not going to go out and be with his Marines. It's just not what We're not going to sit back and just not do that. So, of course, I continue to go out, continue to do what Marines do, and I wanted to be there for my Marines to help them and to feel like that I'm there for them. On November the 14th, we are doing a bridge assessment. It's basically we're going to blow this bridge up because they're bringing IED materials and weapons across this bridge into the city, and they're killing Marines with it, almost on a daily basis from my company. So we took the engineers out, and they're doing a bridge assessment, and everything is going okay. Of course, the entire time we're getting shot at. They got like little homemade the potato guns. Somehow they rigged it up to where they can shoot grenades out of them. And the entire time they're popping these grenades out at us. And we were there for a couple hours. And the first thing that popped in my mind, after about 2 hours of getting grenades shot at us, was like, man, I can only get 2 or 3 grenades. Like, how are these guys getting all these grenades, and when are they going to run out? And it never stopped. It just kept popping and popping and popping. And, you just kind of got used to it. But we finish up with the bridge assessment, and we're getting ready to leave. Now, my vehicle, I was in a Humvee. My vehicle was supposed to be the second vehicle in the formation. But we had Marines patrolling back on foot, going back up to get into the 7 tons. So then we were going to get back in the formation and patrol back to the 5. Well, I look across the river and I see at least 200 people just standing there across the river, watching, like they're waiting for something to happen. And of course, all the alarms start going off in my head, because as you know, they don't really, when we're around, if they're watching and waiting for something to happen, then something probably is. So I remember telling my Marine, I'm like, hey, keep an eye on the people across the river, because I just got a weird feeling that something bad is going to happen. Now, to backtrack a little bit, this was like month 4 into the deployment. Every single day, and there's no exaggeration here, every single day, we were in multiple firefights every day. Somebody was getting IED'd every day. We had suicide bombers. It was just as worse as it could be. And I accepted probably about week 3 into the deployment that I wasn't going to make it through that deployment. Either I was going to get killed or I was going to get hurt really bad. And I fully accepted it. And yes, I had fear in me, because I'm a man just like, I'm a Marine for men and women. I'm a Marine, and I have fear in me. But being able to overcome that fear and still do your job in spite of that was one of the things that kept pushing me forward. So we're getting ready to move forward, and the Marines were on the ground patrolling back up to the vehicle, and I told my driver, my exact words were, stop, get some distance between us and the last Marine that's patrolling, just in case we get hit by an IED. Exact words. There was no reason for me to say that, because we had been all over the area, it's a pretty confined area, for hours. Nothing had happened. But for some reason, I just felt, maybe my spidey sense was going on, but something just felt like really, really weird. So he stopped, and I let the Marines get maybe 50 to 75 meters ahead of us. At that time, I told him, I said, all right, let's go ahead and roll. So he slowly started rolling forward. And not even a minute later, but not even 10 seconds later, it's just, boom! Biggest explosion I'd ever felt, just rocked my body. Couldn't see anything, and, my ears are ringing, and I have this surreal feeling. Like, man, did this just happen? I mean, I've gone through this. It's like my 5th one at this point. But I've never been hit this hard. I'm like, well, is this really happening? Like, dreaming? Am I, like what's really going on? I'm hearing like gunshots, still got the ringing in my ears, I can't see anything, and then the next thing you know, I feel this hand on my chest. And I look up, and I can just make out my company commander's face. And he's got this look of complete horror on his face. And he said to me, he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And at that point, he realized who I was. And he told me later on that my face, my entire body was covered with nothing but dirt and blood, and he could not recognize me. I had no idea who I was at that point. So the next thing I did, I asked him, were my Marines okay? And he said, "Yeah, the Marines are fine, but you're kind of stuck in here and we need to get you out of here." Now, I was inside of a hole, maybe 8 feet deep. The only thing that was left of the vehicle was the part that I was sitting in. Still had my seatbelt on, and I'm kind of hanging forward with my body, all of my weight against the seatbelt. Still had all of my gear on, and as the smoke started to clear, that the tourniquet's on, my leg is gone above the boot. Didn't hurt at all. Adrenaline kicked in. There wasn't any pain initially. My ulnar, the bone was sticking out. And even with all that, I still wasn't in any pain, except for my teeth, which are really, really important. Being from Arkansas, people got these stereotypes, blah, blah, blah. Fire Petrino got fired. Our football team isn't doing so good. It's got nothing to do with the story, but we're going to do better next year. So I asked him, I smiled this big bloody smile, and I said, "Do I still have all of my teeth?" And they said, "Yeah, that's the least of your problems here, your teeth." And so, so they're, at this point now they're trying to figure out how to get me out. And it took about 30 minutes for them to get me out. And, probably after about 10 minutes, the adrenaline wore off, and reality starts kicking in at that point. The pain kicks in. And I just got this intense burning feeling where my leg was, and it's hard for me to breathe, so I know I have some type of internal injuries, but it's not enough for me to freak out about it. So, they finally get me cut out. As they get me cut out, I hear my CO tell one of the Marines, "Hey, don't tell him that the other 3 Marines were killed, because he doesn't even know that right now." And when I heard that, everything in my head, everything just went haywire, and I just lost it. When I say lost it, I mean emotionally. As a leader going into combat, we all understand that we are putting not only our own lives in danger, but we put other Marines' lives in danger. We tell a Marine to go here or go there, you're making that decision, and that Marine possibly he could get killed in the process. But those are the decisions that we have to make as leaders, and we have to live with. But at that time, I felt nothing but complete guilt. Nothing else. The pain was still there, but the guilt hurt worse than any pain that they could have possibly have done to me. And I'm talking about, one of the Marines just had his first kid. His wife had the baby 3 days before this happened. And I remember us, he was all happy about it. We all celebrating, smoking cigars. I'm happy for him that he's having his first child, and then not even a couple days later, now he's gone. The 2 other young Marines didn't have a chance to have children, didn't have a chance to have a married life, and they're gone. of that stuff just weighed on me like a ton of bricks. And emotionally, like I just lost it. So they get me out, and they put me on top of a tank because they really couldn't do, because of the condition of my body, they really couldn't do much else except put me on a tank to get me to the LZ. So after about 10 minutes of, right before they got me out, I remember having just this calming feeling come over me. And it wasn't a feeling of me, you know, just kind of being content and saying, okay, I'm going to give up and die. It was a feeling of like I got a choice. And I really do believe this. And I equate it to my feet standing on the edge of a cliff. I only have one, but at the time, my feet are on the edge of a cliff. And I can do one or two things. I can close my eyes, literally. I can close my eyes and let go. All the pain goes away. I don't have to deal with the hurt of losing those 3 Marines. All of my problems are gone. Like, I could have given up. I truly believe that. And that's as easy as just taking that step forward, stepping off that cliff, and being done with it. Or I can take a step back, and I can deal with the reality of everything that's going on around me and everything that's going on with me, and deal with all the pain and everything. And those are my 2 choices. I'm speaking metaphorically. And that's what I chose to do, was to step back and to deal with the reality of the situation and what was going on. So I'm on this tank. Still got this overwhelming feeling. I'm kind of chuckling to myself because I'm thinking about the movies. Everybody seen the movies? Somebody gets shot or they dying, and stay with me. Don't close your eyes, right? Well, I understood why they said that, because you have this overwhelming feeling just to do that. And they put this Marine. If I start going over, just start playing the music like we're at the Oscars or something, and I'll take it. They put this Marine, PFC Jackson, who was the last Marine in that formation. When that IED went on, PFC Jackson was blown through the air. He got up, rattled and dazed, but he got up and he was okay. They put PFC Jackson on top of that tank with me, and they said, hey, make sure GySgt Wilson does not close his eyes and go to sleep. Doc is sitting there working on me, and I guess at one point I closed my eyes and Jackson slapped the hell out of me. And as soon as it happened, my eyes bolted back open, and I said, did you just slap me? And he had the most scared look on his face. And he said, that's what they do on TV. And I said, in my words, I said, Jackson, I promise you, as soon as I'm able to walk and get my hands on you, like, I am going to bring the pain. Of course, since I thanked him for that, for doing that, but, I told him, don't believe everything you see in the movies. It's just going to piss somebody off. So as we're going to the LC, laying on top of this tank, I hear all the machine gun fire going on around me. I can hear the bullets hitting the tank, tink, 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 bouncing off the tank. And I'm thinking like, man, like, it would suck so bad to have gone through all of this to get shot on top of this thing, on top of everything else that's going on with me. And now I go to the hospital, I got a gunshot wound. Why? How did he die? Oh, well, he got IED, but he died from a gunshot wound afterwards. Thankfully, I didn't. They get me medevac off. After that, everything is just like, cloudy. So, end up going to Germany. I go to Bethesda. I'm in ICU. I get out of ICU. When I get down to the regular ward, I'm hallucinating. Between all the drugs that they're putting in me, all the Dilaudid, the Oxycontin, the Percocet, everything that they're putting inside of me, along with the trauma that my body had taken, along with the last thing I remembered at that point was just getting blown up. Like, I'm hallucinating, like, really bad. And I consider myself a pretty strong-minded person. And I honestly thought that I was losing my mind because I was hearing things and I was seeing things that wasn't really happening. And nobody, it's like all of you sitting in front of me right now, and there's somebody standing beside me saying, hey, like nobody's in front of you. Like, how can you tell me that when I'm looking at it and I'm hearing people and I'm seeing this? And that's how real it was to me. But I got better. I got better, and things started to get easier. I go through the rehab process, which took me 3 years. 3 years of going through the rehab process, and then another 2 years to go through the VA process and to not convince the Marine Corps, but to get all my paperwork done so I can stay in the Marine Corps. So you want to talk about resiliency, you want to talk about being persistent, like I'm that person, and that's what I did. Now, throughout all that time, I was having all kind of issues mentally. PTSD, TBI, had it all. Still have it. And for a while, I didn't go get any help. I didn't do anything. I'm a staff NCO. I'm not going to go get any help because that's going to make me look weak, even though I'm missing a leg. And eventually, things got bad enough to where I went and I got help on my own. And even still today, I talk to not only a psychologist, but I talk to a psychiatrist twice a week, and I'm pretty proud of that. Because it's helped me move from what I consider to be the bottom of the pit up to the top to where I can better manage my life and live more normal day-to-day life. And it's an ongoing healing process. And before I wrap it up here, because I already got the 5-minute mark, before I wrap it up here, the injuries that I incurred, broke both of my arms, I broke my left hand, I broke 3 fingers on my left hand, I fractured 6 ribs, I punctured both of my lungs, I fractured 6 vertebrae in my back, I fractured my femur, I fractured my tib and my fib, I fractured broke most of the bones of my ankle, and I broke 2 toes as an insult, you know, to add on top of everything else. And numerous cuts and burns all over my body, particularly my face. And I know it's a really beautiful face, and it looks real nice right now, but I came from down here, and now I'm here, and the process is still a healing process for me. It's ongoing, and I just want to encourage each and every one of you, if you're feeling that stress, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you've got nowhere else to go, we got all these professionals out here that are more than willing to help you and guide you along to get you back on track to where you need to be. And I just want to encourage you all to do that. Nothing to be ashamed of. I'm actually really, really proud of it. And thank you all for taking the time to sit here and listen to my story. And I don't know what word to say for goodbye, except for goodbye and thank you.